Alright, hey everybody, Fiddle Ferret here, back for another manga first impression. And today we're going to be looking at a series that has done a masterful job of taking the Western style comic book hero and implanting it into the manga style. So today, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at My Hero Academia. First off, we'll start with the story. So the story of My Hero Academia is a fairly simple one. Basically, it's a story set in a world where there had never been superheroes before, but several years back, all of a sudden, what was it? I think the start of it was like glow-in-the-dark or luminescent baby was born or something like that. And so basically, that's when the occurrence of what people have now come in this world to call quirks first appeared. So quirks are basically another word for superpowers or abilities or something like that. And as of now in this world or on Earth or whatever you want to call it, 80% of the population has quirks, and now only 20% of the population doesn't have them. So it is possible still to be born without a quirk, but for the most part, like these days, almost everyone is born with a quirk. And being a hero in this world has almost become more of an occupation as well, because basically there are so many people with powers, there are so many villains, and so many heroes that basically heroes have become sort of like I said, like a job of sorts, and you can be hired by basically government agencies and stuff like that to take care of villains and all that kind of thing. So it's not like, that's one thing that makes it real different from Western style comic books, is that there isn't just this, these few superheroes and these few, villains. Almost everybody has an ability of some kind, and so the chance for having more heroes and more villains is so large. And that's what partially brings us into our next portion of this review, which is characters. So the story primarily follows the path of a young, middle school boy going into high school by the name of Izuku Midoriya, or something like that. It's probably wrong, but it's okay. So anyway, it's here on the front here. And his lifetime goal, he's super passionate about becoming a hero, basically. So he wants to become a hero just like All Might, which is one of the greatest heroes there is. But the problem for poor Izuku, oh my, this is so difficult to say. It's Izuku. Izuku? I'll just, maybe that's it. So Izuku, the problem is, as you can see here, just hero battles are an everyday occurrence. In the very first few parts, you see a monster villain, big villain. You basically see a large, a new super heroine. I don't know what hero-s. Wow, that's a great way to say it. So the problem for our poor protagonist, as I said before, he has been born quirkless, and his entire class has quirks. So I can see where that would be an extremely difficult thing for a kid whose, biggest wish in the world is to be a hero and just be surrounded by kids with powers that might not even care about them that much. And so in this world, like all youth, they just want to become heroes. But the problem is, there is this thing called the Hero Academy. And so that is one big thing that they're all shooting for. And so you have him, our main character, Izuku, is rather timid. He's kind of a crybaby. He get bullied. He's kind of that typical shy, not even necessarily shy, but just kind of, powerless at the beginning type of shoujo character kind of thing. And his classmates, especially Katsuki, which is a boy who has an explosive quirk. His quirk is very powerful, and he is very adept with powers. And so his mother and him, he just seems to have all these dreams about becoming a hero, but they find out, he has no quirk. So his dream is still to go to the academy and get in, even though, he doesn't have a quirk. He'd be the first, kid ever to ever get in the academy without a quirk. And so as the story goes on, he meets All Might. It was the character on the front, and All Might is known as one of the greatest superheroes there is, or heroes. They never really call them superheroes, they just call them heroes. So All Might is a really cool character. I like how he is, and especially I like All Might because of how you meet him later on. You find out All Might, no one knows what All Might's ability is, and so basically you kind of find out that All Might might not be as powerful. He is as powerful as he seems, but he seems to have problems with his powers, as Izuku finds out. And so one thing I like, well, I'll get into more later, is All Might's design, which I'll get into more when I talk about the art. But All Might's design is really cool, and I like it a lot. So anyway, the kind of this monster happens at the beginning, and Izuku, even though All Might tells him to give up being a hero because it'll never work, he decides to run to the action and help anyway. And this triggers All Might and him to have a rather interesting relationship throughout the rest of the book. And so All Might basically has taken, after a short story really, All Might takes Izuku under his wing to help him get into the Hero Academy. And so that's kind of that. Another character you meet later on, especially at the academy, is a young girl here who has the ability to stick anti-gravity. Her name is, I'm going to butcher, you ready guys? It's Ochoko or Ocheko. That doesn't sound right, but I'll go with that. And so she is also a rather standard sort of character. She's kind of that, happily bubbly type character. So one thing about all the character tropes are fairly constant. You kind of have those tropes of, the weak main character, the bubbly, happy side heroine character, and you have the problematic, almost rival type character in the Katsuki. And so there are some interesting characters, but with all their abilities, it makes them really interesting as they all try to get into the Hero Academy. And so next from there, we're going to move on to art and style, which is what I also talked about earlier. My Hero Academy has a very distinct style. It knows what it's going for. It's got the smallest touch of Western style, especially with some facial expressions, but the facial expressions and the body language used by the characters is so forthright and forthcoming. It adds a lot of impact action scenes and the facial characteristics of characters. It adds a lot to the story as it goes along. It has a lot of over-exaggerated things, as you might expect from like a shonen type manga like this. But just the over-the-top nature of some of these things, especially, some of the facial expressions are really over the top. But the art style remains really clean and well kept, in my opinion. It's not like the fanciest art style there is, but for the style they're going for, they nail it so well. Between just like the backgrounds and stuff like that, I wouldn't say are anything to write home about. And the characters aren't necessarily super detailed, but the characters are very, very well drawn in the style in which it's going for. So as far as backgrounds and stuff like that goes, but especially stuff with All Might provides a lot of comedic relief as well. And that's one of the other things about that makes it different from like American or Western style comics and stuff like that. It's not afraid to add a lot of comedy in with its most powerful character. It's not like we have to hold this character up on this pedestal. It's more of this everyone has their flaws. And All Might provides a lot more humor than you would really ever find in any sort of Western style story. And so guys, that is pretty much my overview of My Hero Academia. And so I'm going to do a rating system now, which I'm going to start trying out, and we'll see how it goes. So adding up the combinations of story and setting, characters, art, and my own personal, like factor or my own personal opinion and enjoyment, I am going to score this with a 15.9 out of 20. And so I'm basically adding up a 5-point scale for all 4 points and then just making it out of 20, and that is my score. So a 15.9. So hopefully, as this is the first one I've really rated like this, my numbers may be slightly off as I fine-tune them. And so anyway, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it a lot. It's one of those stories where you didn't just read it and go, oh, that was good, I'll read the next one. I was like, I want the next one now, and I want to keep reading it. The story isn't anything to write home about. It's not like the most unique thing in the world, but I like its take. It's different, especially in manga. As far as manga goes, it is super unique in my opinion, but it does have those traditional characters and those traditional type shonen feel to it, but it adds a very nice twist to it. And I would definitely give this a rating of definitely go out and buy it. I added like a little bit of a list for myself as well, as far as, you know, buy it, preview, on the fence, not recommended, and avoid, but I would definitely put it at the top of the list and say go ahead and go buy it. I really think you would all enjoy it a lot. But anyway guys, I've been Fiddle Ferret. I do some manga first takes, every once in a while a manga series recommendation. I also do figure unboxings and stuff like that. But if you'd like to join the business today and subscribe, feel free to do so you can keep up on all my content. But anyway guys, I have been Fiddle Ferret, and I will see you back on the prowl next time. Bye-bye!